Hello. So this is my simple bullet hell game, and I'm going to comment on it. So right now, every enemy, the current, the first stage of enemies are shooting circle shots. So they're just shooting circle formation of bullets, and then the first wave is over, and then now the spiral shooting enemy will come, and then the flower one will also come. Oh, I got that. And then the last enemy here is the one that shoots around flowers. It looks a bit weird, but I achieved this script after trying to achieve the polygon script. And then this is the star shooting enemy, and then now it's the one that can follow your player. Ouch. Okay. And then now this is the last boss. This is the only script that has coroutine. It combines the spiral shot and the circle shots. And then now he's on phase 3, where he combines the circle shot and the spinning shot. Do you notice that I do not move a lot? Well, this is the safe spot, so it's actually pretty easy to dodge all the bullets. You just have to move to the angle where you cannot be hurt, but the last phase is the hardest. So okay, so yeah, that's the game. I will now try to explain how the wave manager works. So this is my wave manager. It has the wave an array of wave struct, which is over here, the wave struct, and it's system serializable so that it can be edited in the inspector, adding info inside. And it also has another array of struct of this. It basically contains the enemy to spawn, the amount you want to spawn, the interval, and then the extra wait till next info. Basically, how much extra time you want to wait before spawning the next set of enemies, which is over here. 6 enemies. Every 0.1 second I spawn 1, and after 6 wait for 3 seconds, then you go to the next set of enemies to spawn. And then this wave struct basically represents each wave, and every wave it will have this extra wave duration, how much additional time you want to wait before you move to the next wave, and it has the boolean to check whether if the last enemy has died. So first you add into the game event manager in the game start of the begin wave, so that when you click on the start game button it will begin the waves, and then once it do begin the waves it will go over here where you are running wave 0 lah. I don't think we should run any other waves as the first one, and then it will then create a temporary integer and float and everything else here, and the size will be how this float array is meant to contain all the information's duration timer. So this is actually an array of timers where it will count down for each set of enemies to spawn. A bit confusing, but basically this thing is a timer where it will count down. It's basically the counter lah. What it does is it will, for this set of enemies, and for this wave 0 is basically wave 1, and the first set of enemies, which is also element 0, it will have 3.6 seconds of counter time. So you'll count down all the way to 0, then to the next one, and to the next one. So this amount left to spawn is actually just a temporary integer, just to calculate up how much enemies are there in this current wave, and then set the amount into this integer over here that can be accessed through any other script, so long as they have reference to this script, this wave manager script. So yeah, the purpose of this is just to calculate the total amount of enemies to spawn in each wave. And then after that, the code routine will finally run the while loop of if the current wave, if the last enemy have not died, run this bunch of script every frame. So yeah, so spawn enemy and then decrease the current info amount, the current set of enemies that has spawned. The current set of enemies, and then stuff, timer, and then the condition to increase the go to the next set of enemies to spawn when your timer is over, and then that's it. As if it goes to the next set of enemies, the current info amount is basically the current amount of enemies in the current set of enemies to spawn will be set to the amount. And then if the current wave enemies left is less than or equal to 0, which means no more enemies left in this wave to spawn at the same time, indicating where all the enemies have died, the boolean will set to true for last enemy dead. When this value is being deducted is by another script, so it's not seen here, so it may be quite confusing. And then once this is over, this will be set to true, and this condition will no longer apply, and the code will go down here. And this script is meant to delay the changing of wave, like the next wave, the delay. If you set 5 seconds, you'll wait for 5 seconds, then you run this command. And then this command is over here, this function, and then you go to the next wave, increase the wave index, and then if this is the last wave, set the win boolean to true, and then trigger game over. If this win is true and it's game over, it means that you won. If it's false and this is triggered, you'll lose. It shows that you lose. Yeah. And then if it is not the last wave, it'll continue run this code, and the return will just stop this function. So if it's the last wave, this will not be run. But since it's not, if it's not the last wave, this code will go on and run the next set. I don't think this is quite fun. Okay, yeah, you'll run this, and then yeah, you'll go on the next wave and everything will repeat. Thank you.